Welcome everyone. My name is Brett Bassick, and today we're going to go over DocXtools functionality. As you can see, we're already on the DocXtools ribbon here, and I'll go over at a high level what these groups and buttons do, and then we will go through some workflows. So starting at the left, we see the Discover button here, and the Discover button is actually a drop-down as well. And what this does is it gives you a in-depth look at what is causing a particular problem in your document. I will go over all of this and show you the task pane and how to navigate this as well. The Quick Clean is a cleanup routine that allows you to very quickly and easily clean the document without impacting any formatting or pagination within the document. A document rebuild is a drastic cleanup routine that will essentially remove content from the document that you're in, strip it of all styles and numbering schemes, and paste that content back into a brand new document, essentially alleviating any underlying XML problems. There is a rebuild Word document and a rebuild scanned document option, which includes several procedures to simply improve the overall look and feel of the document after it's been converted from a PDF or been scanned into the computer. We have touch-up tools, trouble tools, and SEC tools next, and these are our targeted cleanup tools. These will give you options to clean up the document based on what you know is wrong in the document. So if you know what the problem is and you know what you need to do to fix it, you'll want to come to touch-up tools. So you can come here and choose one of these options. If you know what the symptom of the problem is, but you're not sure exactly what routine to take, you'll want to come to the trouble tools and find the symptom that is consistent with what you're experiencing. The SEC tools is a very specific subset of tools that is only for the Security and Exchange Commission documents. I don't recommend using this if you are using it on any other legal or life sciences document. Then we move over to the style group, and here we have the Update Styles button and Apply Styles dropdown. The Update Styles button simply adds the styles from the normal template or any custom template that you have associated with this particular button to bring the styles into play so that you can apply them very quickly. The Apply Styles dropdown gives you 7 different scans of types of content to look for in the document so that you could then style them accordingly. Next, we have the Compare and Crossref group, and the comparison module for DocXtools is simply an addition to whatever comparison solution you have in place. This could be Word, this could be ChangePro, Workshare, or CompareDocs. Your comparison solution will be selected in the dropdown here, and then you can move along with your comparison. DocXtools itself doesn't actually perform the comparison. It simply provides you with several options in order to get your comparison to work a little bit better. Mainly the Run Cleanup option. This essentially runs the quick clean routine on the original and the modified before running the comparison so that you can potentially run a comparison on something that tends to fail. The Cross References module of DocXtools is a huge time-saving tool, and upon clicking the Cross References button, it brings up the task pane, which I will go into in greater detail a little later on. What happens when you launch this task pane is it gives you 2 columns, and you will scan the document once you have this open, and you will find any numbers or potential references found in the left column, and you'll find all of your numbered items from your numbering scheme in the right column. This allows you to very quickly and very easily link these particular numbers together so that you can have working cross-references. One thing to note about the cross-reference tool is that it utilizes native Word cross-reference functionality. So if by chance you happen to have this document outside of a DocXtools environment, your cross-references will still work, and you can update them just as you would in native Word without having any sort of proprietary software necessary. Moving on to the next group, we've got the document conversion group, and this is a legacy group that's been around for quite some time, and it's here because a lot of the older documents that might be saved on the DMS could be in an older doc format as opposed to Docx. We've got several options here from Docx Ready to upgrade to Docx, and two options here to upgrade to Docx directly or to upgrade to Docx and preserve layout, essentially leaving it in compatibility mode. And then we have the downgrade to doc button, and this is going to be used if you're going to be sending your document off to an environment where they are unable to open a Docx file. The fix layout button is a quick and easy fix that allows you to revise your document with the layout version of Office that you have installed. So for example, if you had a document that was created in Office 2010 and you are now working in Office 2016 and the document is already a Docx file, you can use the fix layout button to update the content into the format that is laid out by the latest version of Word. After that, we have our help group, which has a quick toggle to toggle between draft and normal views. We've got our paste text without formatting that allows you to paste the text without font, paragraph, or table formatting. And then we have our references to our documentation. And this is actually pretty key. While you're going through and utilizing DocXtools functionality, you might have a question about what's going on or where to proceed next. And these links will pull up the PDF file that's associated with whatever it is that you're looking to do. These are very, very powerful documentation. It will help you tremendously getting your feet wet in DocXtools. So I'm going to go ahead and open up a document, and we're going to run a discover check on it so we can get a good look at what we can expect while running discover on our documents. Here we have a pretty standard purchase and sale agreement. So I'm simply going to come over here and I'm going to click the discover button. So you'll notice in the discover pane, we have two main sections. We have the evaluation section at the top, and then we've got this multi-tabbed area at the bottom. The evaluation section is giving us feedback based on the questions that were asked during this discover check. And this is broken down by category. So we have a comparison check and we have an edit and print check. We also have a general document check, a numbering and styles check, and a tables check. If you wish to run only one of these particular checks, you can choose that within the drop down under the discover button here. You may see some redundancy in some of the items that are flagged within the evaluations pane, and this is to be expected. That's because sometimes some of these items will be affecting more than one category. When you look at this evaluations pane, you will notice three different types of icons, and these have different workflows behind them. The first item that we see here is a checkbox, and it is checked by default. Any item that has a checkbox has an autofix associated with it. And as you can notice, there is an autofix button right here below the evaluation section. If by chance this has a checkbox, you can run this autofix in an attempt to resolve this problem automatically. Now, sometimes some items do persist after an autofix, and that's just quite honestly because there's no panacea button that fixes every problem in every document. Sometimes documents hold on to these issues, and you may have to dig a little deeper to find these problems out. In order to find out exactly what you should do for a particular problem, I would recommend clicking on the tips pane here, where it can tell you specifically how to deal with a specific problem. So here we have nested tables, which does have an autofix. But even though the autofix may work, it will still give me some information on what nested tables do and why I want to avoid them. And the second item that we have here is a wrench item. And as opposed to an autofix item with a check mark, it's got a wrench. And what this means is this requires some sort of human intervention. While you are taking care of this issue, again, you're going to want to navigate to the tips section to find out maybe what you need to do, whether it be via DocXtools functionality or native Word functionality. And the third and final icon that we will see in the evaluations pane is the informational icon. And this isn't necessarily telling us that anything is really wrong, but it's giving us this information that's saying that in this particular circumstance that this content is actually copied from a Redline report. So it may have some content in it that you don't necessarily need, such as bookmarks or hidden bookmarks. So for the sake of the demonstration and trying to get this rolling along, I'm going to run my autofix and see if it fixes all of the potential problems that I have in here. I've got quite a few. So let's go ahead and click that. You'll see a dialog window appear with different procedures being ran. And this is going to be different every time that you run an autofix via the Discover pane. And this is because every Discover result is going to be different depending on the document that you run it on. All right. Well, you can see that we have fixed some of our problems. We have only green and yellow issues left. We did have one red one here before, which indicated that it was a severe problem, but that's been resolved automatically. It looks like all that we have left are some wrench items and some informational items. So we can address the wrench items manually by clicking on the navigation pane here and navigating to each item that has been flagged. And in this situation, it happens to be a special symbol or a hyphen. And if I zoom in on this particular document, we can certainly see that, yes, that is not a traditional hyphen. And what we can do is we can simply navigate to it, delete it, and insert a hyphen, and navigate to the next item and do the same here. You can also do find and replace if it is deemed, worthwhile enough to go through that many different changes. So it looks like we are set there. So I'm going to go ahead and run the Discover again after I've made those changes. And OK, comparison check is now good. What else do we have? Substitute or embedded fonts. So a substitute or an embedded font is something that must be resolved via native word. We do have some procedures around this, but it's not always able to pull it out. And your best bet is to navigate to this point within the document and remove it. So we're going to go to our file, our options, and we're going to go to advanced. And as I scroll down here, you'll find a button that says font substitution. When I click this, you'll see that Courier is being displayed now, but it's actually missing, and we want to substitute it with Courier New. So I'm going to click Convert Permanently, click OK, and click OK. So now if I click Discover, our substituted fonts should be gone. All right. And we've got a couple items left, nothing really document breaking. We have most content in this document is directly formatted, which is a bit of a no-no, as any Docx or any Docx file that has been generated in Word should be styled appropriately. And we also have typed numbers found. And this is because nobody has applied any styles to the document. So these are a bit linked. And again, we've got numbering applied incorrectly. And this is just basically saying that we don't have a numbering scheme associated with this. So for all intents and purposes, this document is in really great shape to move forward with. At this point, you'd likely want to go on to style and number the document. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close this document, and we're going to focus on a quick clean and a document check. Now, on this expert tab that I have labeled DocXtools, you get a majority of the functionality available through DocXtools. There are some other options such as our numbering, our TOC, and our DocID module, but we're not going to be going over that today. One of the items that is actually omitted from the expert tools, though, is the document check. It's placed in the drop down here, and the document check simply gives you an indicator light of a red, yellow, or green. Now, this particular document check is actually going to open up a task pane, but if we were on a lawyer or a secretary tab, you would have a traffic light button right up here. So I'm going to click this button, and we're going to see what kind of indication we get for the overall health of the document. Okay, so this is telling me that the traffic light is giving me red severe issues. We've got some field code errors, there are DV bookmarks found, unapplied delta view styles, and numbering is unlinked. We need to have a numbering scheme linked with styles in order for our document to work properly. So my first step here is to click a quick clean. In a situation where you wouldn't have the Discover pane actually appearing on the right, you would simply have a red light appearing here on the Discover button, and it would likely say run a quick clean on the document. So I'm going to go ahead and run the quick clean. And I'm going to run the traffic light check again. Okay, our traffic light went from a red to a yellow. And at that point, you're likely okay to go forward with working on the document. The traffic light is really an indicator of something that's going to cause your document to crash or to cause stability problems later on. Mostly some sort of underlying XML issue. The field code error that we're seeing here that is still flagging as yellow isn't going to break the document, but we should definitely address this at one point in time. Maybe we'll take a look at this when we do our cross references. But at this point, we're able to go forward with troubleshooting. I'm going to go open up a new document, and this is going to be for our rebuild functionality. All right, I'm going to toggle our view, and we can see here that in draft view, the document is styled accordingly. We've got header, body text, article outlines, so on and so forth. But let's say that this document has a problem, and anytime I try to make any modification to the document, Word crashes. This is a problem that people are dreading to see, and it happens more often than not. You'll see something along the lines of, this document contains characteristics of corruption, and then Word simply closes. If you come across that situation, a rebuild may be your best bet. So you'll click on the Document Rebuild dropdown and choose Rebuild Word Document. And as I mentioned before, we're going to remove the text from this document and place it into a new document, but we're going to strip it of styles and numbering. Upon doing that, we're going to take the general formatting of the document and directly apply it to the text so that we can then still have the look and feel of the document so that we can apply styles to it later on. So I'm going to go ahead and click Rebuild Word Document, and we can see that it's going through several procedures here, 79 to be exact. And the look of the document has changed. And if you notice up at the top, it's going to go from rebuild Word document.doc to document2.docx. And the reason it changed format is because, well, we're working in a modern version of Word. We're not working in, Word 2007 where the .doc was created. So now if I go back to the DocXtools tab and I toggle my view, we can see that everything is styled as normal. Yet all of these items are still centered, indented, and we still have some numbering here. Now this numbering is simply typed. It is not part of a scheme. At this point in the document lifecycle, I would want to import my styles by clicking the Update Styles button, which will pull in any styles associated with my firm styles. And then I can click on the Apply Styles dropdown so I can start scanning my document for different types of content. These items are numbered in order of which you should click on these. So you don't necessarily need to click on each and every one, depending on the document. But just about any time you're working in a legal document, what you're going to want to start out with is typed numbers, because we just rebuilt the document. We've just flattened the document down with no styles and no numbering schemes. So for all intents and purposes, every number that's in here is now typed. So if we scan for typed numbers, we will see a familiar task pane appear on the right. Before that happens, we're getting this prompt, and this is asking me that, do I want to switch hard returns for soft returns on paragraphs with the word article? If you see something like this, check this box and click OK. You do want to swap those returns. Otherwise, the article paragraphs may not appear via your paragraph filters. Speaking of paragraph filters, that's what we are seeing here. These green circles are indications of paragraph filters. These are all stored within the DocXtools database, and you can see them here. There's no need to bring them into the active document because we actually scanned them already, and DocXtools logic saw the patterns within here, and it is recognized that these particular paragraphs are article paragraphs via their direct formatting that was placed there by DocXtools. So let me see if I've got styles available. I do not have styles available. If this was a custom environment where we updated our styles with a template, then those styles would then be available in this drop down right here. I may be able to show and apply more styles. Let's see if we've got anything here. Nope, I don't have anything stored here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to revert this to the original style. I've selected this Article 3, and if I chose a different style from this drop down here, if I had my templates all situated, I would see all of my different article styles. So if I chose that, I could select it here and click the green checkbox, and it will style the paragraph accordingly. Now, of course, this is a rebuilt document, so there's no style associated with it because this is a brand new document. But what you'd be able to do is you'd be able to close this and you can move on to your section paragraphs, choose the associated style with it, click the green check mark, and continue on. And this allows you to very, very quickly style an entire document in minutes. See, this example here is 25 paragraphs of the numbered style. So if I were to select this item, choose the appropriate style for it, and click the checkbox, all 25 paragraphs would immediately be styled. After your typed numbers are completed, you can move on to styled numbers or titles or body. Essentially, what you want to do is get down through all your different types of content until you have no other types of content left, and you end up with normal. You always want to scan for normal last, because everything else at this point should then be styled. The things that you'll find that are still styled as normal will be things like signature lines or something along the lines of that that don't necessarily have a filter, but we will find these leftovers from your styling process. All right. Let's move on to cross-references. I'm not going to spend much time on the comparison module because DocXtools doesn't actually do the comparison. We simply provide a UI that allows you to run our quick clean functionality on the original and the modified before running the actual comparison. I'm going to go ahead and close this one. And I'm going to open up a document with some cross-references, and we're going to run the cross-reference tool. Okay, so upon clicking the cross-references button, we get a task pane on the right that looks somewhat similar to what we saw before. Now, nothing is populating automatically here, and this can throw some people for a loop. DocXtools doesn't necessarily hold your hand, but that's what you're here watching this video for. So upon clicking the button, the pane is launched, and we have two options down at the bottom here. We have an auto link and we have a scan document button. Now, exercise caution when using the auto link button. What the auto link button will do will look for matching numbered sections and will automatically link those as a cross-reference. This is a great and time-saving tool, but keep in mind that you should have proofread your document at this point in time before running AutoLink, because you don't want DocXtools to link incorrect content together. If the numbering convention matches, it will link it. So I'm going to go ahead and click Scan Document so we can get a look at the potential references and the numbered items within this particular document. All right, on the left, you can see all of our numbers found. And these are any item that could be a cross-reference. On our right, we have our numbered items, and these are any items that are actually part of the numbering scheme. As I click on any of these, it will navigate to this point within the document. So you can very quickly and very easily verify whether or not these should be linked. One thing to keep in mind, we have an options drop down up at the top, and these options are for the way that we are displaying the cross references. By default, these are set as numbered paragraph full context, but we also have the option for only paragraph number no context, and paragraph text. Right now we have only label and number selected, but you could, if you wanted to, select the entire caption or only the caption text. For most legal documents, what we're looking for is paragraph number full context with only label and number. I've never before in my life seen anybody reference anything as page number or above below. But the fact is, this is native Word functionality, and we're not going to omit any functionality that has been presented by native Word. But for your legal documents, I would not choose either of these. And below that, we have our custom colors, keep source formatting, automatic auto link. So as soon as you launch the scan for cross references, it automatically auto links, and then include above and below, which we see here, which is almost never checked. So for the sake of the demonstration, I'm going to keep my default options, and for the most part, you'll likely do the same. Let's say that I've already gone through and I've proofread my document, and I'm quite certain that the numbers found are indeed accurate. So I'm going to click the auto link button, and you'll see that it's going through and it's applying check marks through some of these different items, but not all of them. A check mark indicates that it is now a linked reference, and you can see that when I click on the numbered found here. It's choosing this item, it's navigating me to this point within the document, and it's also highlighting what it's linked with. I can navigate over to this section item and click it, and it will bring me to the linked numbered item. So as I go through, I can see that section 6.1 is indeed linked to section 6.1, and 6.2 is linked to 6.2. We have figure 1 here, which is pointing to figure 1 down here. So these look like they're in good shape. But around these, we have some other items that they're listed, but they don't seem to be linked to anything. Here's one, for example, section 7.11. So if I'm interested in linking this section 7.11 to something, what I want to do is I want to find section 7.11 in my numbered items. But it doesn't exist. There's 7.1, but no 7.11. And the reason being is that was a typo. Somebody meant to write 7.1, but they hit it twice. So what I'm going to do is simply drag this section 7.11 onto section 7.1. It will link it, and it will automatically update the item within the document to section 7.1. And it is also now a clickable link. Notice that it did not update in the task pane. It still shows it as 7.11. And the reason being is because this particular task pane is not an active scan. If you want to see the results of your changes made in the document in your task pane, you must refresh by scanning the document for changes. Excellent. All right. So what about these items that aren't numbered? Some of these words are kind of ambiguous. Yes, a schedule could be used to indicate a numbered item, but in this situation, it is not. So I can simply right-click it and remove it from the list, or I can right-click it and remove it from all instances. And that way, any schedule that is listed here will simply be removed from the list. We do have Schedule 1 and Schedule 2 here, but these are pointing to external references. So I'm going to simply right-click on it and remove it from the list. If by chance you removed an item that you should have kept, or we didn't flag a particular item that you may have wanted to keep, you can highlight that item within the document, right-click in Numbers Found, and click Add Candidate. Notice Schedule 1 has reappeared. Moving on, we have an item here that is simply 5.5. Now, if we look at the content itself, it shows section 5.4 and 5.5. So we know that it's pointing to the actual section 5.5, but the word section is not there. In this situation, I would want to find section 5.5 in my numbered items and simply drag this item over to it. But now we have a problem. Notice that it's now saying provisions of section 5.4 and section 5.5. But that's not how we had it typed before we inserted this reference. We have a solution to this. What we would want to do is we want to suppress these non-delimiter characters, which is a native word function. But it is available here via right-click on that item. So I right-click this 5.5 and I tell it to suppress all non-delimiter characters, and voila. We have section 5.4 and 5.5, and it is also a clickable link which is pointing me to section 5.5. Another item that you might come across that we saw in a previous Discover pane is the error reference source not found. This can occur when content is removed from a document, or perhaps you were bringing content over from another document into this one and you pulled over a cross-reference with it. There's several ways this can occur, but it's easy enough to resolve this issue. We simply find the area that we want to link it to and drag it over to it. So say it's section 6.10a, error reference code not found is now updated to section 10a. I'm going to delete that extra paragraph parentheses because that was left over from before. And that just about covers anything with regard to cross-references. And we can likely move on to the next document conversion group here. Okay. This is pretty straightforward stuff, so we'll just get right to it. This is a .doc document that we want to upgrade to Docx. We want to actually do the upgrade to Docx function, and if and at all possible, you don't want to fight Word. So you want to use upgrade to Docx to bring it in without compatibility mode. If for some reason your page layout gets manipulated in a way that is not acceptable, you can use upgrade to Docx preserve layout, but keep in mind that it will keep this document in compatibility mode. I'm going to go ahead and upgrade to Docx. You'll see it run through the routine here. Okay, we'll go ahead and save this. And now we have a Docx formatted document.